Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Clark, speaking with Alison Glenn about the topic of PTSD and the family. Alison, your family was affected by PTSD. Can you tell us a little bit about the background?
Yes, my brother actually joined the Army when he was 18, right out of high school. And shortly after that, a couple years into his term, he was sent to Iraq right before the war started. And he did 3 tours in Iraq.
3 tours.
And upon coming home, every time there were some small personality differences that we saw, and things that affected him, such as not being able to go out in crowds or waking in the middle of the night thinking he needed his gun, and different stories that we began to hear from him or his wife.
So he came home between these tours, and each time you saw some personality differences in adjusting to his own family and to your family, the broader family. So at that time, did you think PTSD, is that what came to your mind?
Not at all, because it wasn't something that he mentioned, but I think as veterans have come home from wars and tours in Iraq or Afghanistan, we're starting to see it more and more, and it's becoming frontline news in the headlines.
More publicity.
More publicity.
So more education.
So then you start realizing the connection between, oh yeah, that's something that my brother was going through, and that's something that he and his family had to deal with.
And your family, your mother, your father, tell me how it affected you personally. You saw this young man who was going off into what used to be viewed as a heroic role, and yet you must have been frightened when he left and frightened when he came back.
Oh, absolutely. I specifically recall in college, I was in grad school at the time, and I started watching the news all of the time and seeing all of the things that were going on in Iraq. It made me very anxious, and it hit me at a real personal level. And I remember one day my brother called me, which was very unusual that they get phone calls very often, and he called me and he said, just stop watching the news. No news is good news, and just know that I'm okay if you're not hearing anything. And so I stopped watching the news at that point, and it helped me a lot.
So in a way, here he is in this foreign situation and in danger, and he's giving you mental health advice, which is stop watching the news.
Yes.
Which is probably a good advice for everyone. What can you say to families like yours, Alison? What can you say to them about what they can expect, how to adjust? What was the biggest tip you have on adjusting to the changes you saw in your brother?
I think probably acceptance, because I feel my brother is very different, obviously, from when he was 18 going into the military and seeing things that we don't see on a daily basis. And so the personality differences, they become I felt a little more hardened or straight and to the point. And so just having acceptance of that and knowing that they're still the same person.
So communication and acceptance, and treating what used to be your little brother or your child as an adult with new experiences and experiences that you probably can't relate to. Thank you, Alison. We appreciate your time.